most of the career trajectories fail there. They tend to fail, like people tend not to finish high school or not to, or start college and then drop after the first few months.
As always, the first 5-10 minutes is all about you and how you got to where what you're doing today. And so, how did you grow up?
Well, I'm originally from Uruguay. I grew up in a small summer season type of town in the east coast of Uruguay. The name is La Paloma. Um, Originally, it was created more as a fishers village there, and then with time it evolved to a touristic place. We still have a lighthouse and everything there. So when I grew up, the town was around 3,000, 4,000, the total population. It has grown a little bit more now. I mean, but yeah, it was a really great place. A lot of freedom during my childhood, a lot of opportunities to play in the ground, climbing trees, running around, harming myself, playing soccer all the time. So it was a really nice childhood.
Nice. Like
After
finally
that,
somebody else who
when I
also
was
plays soccer.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's well in Uruguay. In Uruguay, soccer is a big deal. You know, it's a very big deal. It's our national sport. Uh, yeah. So after that, as many Uruguayans, nowadays, I want to say this because to be fair, nowadays things are a little different. But when I was growing up, it was very difficult for someone in these small towns at the interior of the country to reach the college. We have so most of the country is landscape, right? Like a lot of cattle production and a lot of agricultural production. Soybeans lately is a big deal, but mostly everything, the educational system was concentrated in the main city. Nowadays, there are more opportunities. There have been a very interesting decentralization process, and there are some. Still, though, most of the things happen in the main city until these days. So I was finishing high school, and at that time, I was kind of really pushed and supported by my parents, sorry, my father and my mother to study. My sister was a couple of years ahead me, and she was already living in the main city. So I landed there, and I got a lot of help from her side. She was the only role model that I had of someone going to the university before me, to the college before me, because we are first college generation. So it was definitely her help and my brothers-in-law help that helped me with landing there. And yeah, somewhat, I don't know, at some point I was reading different things. I didn't know what to do. I was kind of lost at that age, but I got a manual that was talking about different careers, and for some reason I was trapped of reading about economics. And I was interested because it was kind of in my mind. I didn't know exactly what was that, but in my mind it was sort of a mixture between social sciences and then a lot of the mathematical quantitative approaches. So I like that mixture because I was good at math, but I was not that good with the others, but I liked to read a lot.
Can I ask you another question? Um,
Sure, go
yeah.
ahead.
Yeah. So you
All,
talked. Yeah. So you talked about your sister and that she was a role model. So how important was that for you? So how what did she do that she really helped you to get on this path? Because everyone
well,
has like some sort of a role model in their life, you know. So what did
yeah,
she do?
no, absolutely. It's well, she still is kind of a role model in many degrees, but especially for the academia in that dimension, it was yeah. I come from from a family that we didn't have so many examples of people going to college at that
Mm.
time, and she was really organized, really smart, really goal oriented, and she was pushing the boundaries. She was the first one getting a degree. She was then the first one getting the chance to do grad studies. So for me, everything was easier because I was kind of following a path. I knew about the system. I knew about the. I mean, I knew about how the system worked when I moved to the main city. When I moved there, I had her, and I had a net of contention already. She had to do it by herself. Same thing when I came to the U.S. They were already here. By that time, she was already married, and my brother-in-law is also a role model. They
Mhm.
both work in academia too. And again, when I arrived here, they already had been here for a while. They pushed me, they helped me a lot from details from the application process to advices on how to land and all sort of things, and helping me with connecting with people. So, I mean, in every degree possible, but it was different, definitely very important. I always make the joke that if it was the other way around, we would be doomed because I was not the best example. She was the really model I could follow, but I would not be able to lead. That's yeah, that's what I feel.
That's funny. Yeah, but that's nice because in some families, that can create a lot of envy too. If you have like somebody, but you chose to like look up to her and take her as a role model. That speaks a lot to like how you grew up and how your family like supports you, basically. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So,
no, it's that's true. We originally my family was from the west side part of Uruguay, and then just the closest circle, my mother, my father, my sister, and me, we moved when I was very young, like 4 years old. We moved all the across the country to the East Coast.
mm,
I mean, in terms of distance, it's not that much, but back then we didn't have internet, we didn't have cell phones or phones. You barely have much, I mean, communication with the other families. So that created this kind of team among each other. So we were very united all the time. The role of my parents, both of them, it was critical because I mean, in in our town, and again back then, there were not so many examples of people even studying. It was a huge challenge. I think looking back in my trajectory, I think that's when I was exposed to most of the risk, when I was kind of finishing high school, moving to the main city, because I mean most of the career trajectories fail there. They tend to fail, like people tend not to finish high school or not to, I mean, or start college and then drop after the first few months. The rates are huge. Only one out of, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 out of 10 may end up after they start the college. I really, I don't know exactly the statistics now, but from my town, in my college, in my high school, they were like, I don't know, maybe 3, 4 out of 40 that end up with a college degree. Not mention that we didn't know anything about grad school by then. We didn't know what a master's or a PhD degree would be. So yeah, it was a long path, but definitely it, it's not casual. I mean, it's there should be a reason why both my sister and I we both did the same. I mean, I think the reason behind it that's our parents, and I think in my case also that I was able to follow the example of my sister that was ahead. So the combination of those factors, I think, that's put me in a huge advantage position with respect to others.